All right, so we're going to do a review of how we multiply polynomials, and then afterwards we're going to talk about multiplying radical expressions. So if you recall from grade 10, when you are multiplying polynomials, you must make sure you distribute any term in front of a bracket into each term inside the brackets. So for a, we have 3x times x take away 2. So because we're multiplying a monomial by a binomial, we should evaluate this and in the end have a binomial as our answer. So 3x times x would be 3x squared. Recall that when you're multiplying two numbers or variables that are the same, you add their exponents. And then we have 3x times negative 2. So 3 times negative 2 is 6, and x is on the end. All right, so for b is the same process. So 5y squared times x squared, well, there's an imaginary 1 at the front, so we have 5 times 1 is 5, x squared, y squared. The terms get, for lack of a mathematical word, pushed together. Then we have 5y squared times negative y. So we have negative 5y cubed. Don't forget to add the power of 1 with your power of 2. All right, so with C, we have a monomial times a trinomial. So we should have 3 pieces in our answer. So let's talk about ABC times 3A. Now, there is a 1 in front of this ABC. It's not written, but we can assume. So 3 times 1 is 3. A times A, we have to add our exponents. So we have A squared, and BC will be on the end. Now make sure you put an operation in between. So we're putting plus. So then we have 1 times 4 is 4. A times no A is just A. B times B would be B squared, and C. Then we have a subtraction because it's 1 times negative 2. And we have A, B, and C squared. Okay, we cannot add these together because they are not like terms. This one, the A is squared, this one the B is squared, and this one the C is squared. We cannot add these because they're not exactly the same set of variables. Now for D, it looks tricky because the monomial is at the end. If you prefer to rewrite it so it's at the front, you may definitely do so. And so we're going to distribute again through each piece. So we will get 8y cubed plus 12y squared minus 4y. Now with E, we actually have a binomial times a binomial, so we need to remember how to use FOIL. And FOIL is you multiply the first two expressions, so in this case x times x. Then we multiply the outsides, so we have the outside of this bracket times the outside of this bracket. So x times positive 8. And then we do the inside. So the inside of this bracket times the inside of this bracket, so 6 times x. And finally the last in each bracket, so 6 times 8. And so let's go through each of these. So x times x is x squared, x times 8 is 8x, 6 times x is 6x, and 6 times 8 is 48. Now we need to make sure we write our final answer as a mathematical sentence. So our answer would be x squared plus 14x plus 48. Make sure you add like terms. Okay, so f is quite the same, so we will multiply the first x times x, which is x squared, then the outside x times 2y plus 2xy, then the insides minus 2xy, and then the last minus 4y squared. If you need to use this process, definitely do so, but after a lot of practice you should be able to do it without having to do that extra step. Now don't forget to combine like terms, so in this case 2xy and negative 2xy are like terms because they have the same variables at the end, and they actually cancel out, so we get x squared minus 4y squared. Okay, now notice with g, there's an extra constant on the outside, so we're going to ignore that till the last step, but we need to write it in every step. So let's go ahead and do FOIL. So we have x times 2x is 2x squared. That's the first of each bracket. Then we're going to do the outside of each bracket, so x times 5y. So we have positive 5xy. Then we do the inside. The inside of this bracket is negative 3y and 2x, so negative 6xy. And then finally the last term in each bracket, which is negative 15y squared. Now remember, you still have that negative 3 on the outside, but let's simplify the inside. So the only like terms are in the middle. We have 5xy, take away 6xy, so that's negative 1xy. I'm not going to write the 1, minus 15y squared. And last but not least, we can distribute this negative 3 to each term. So our final answer is negative 6x squared, plus, because a negative times a negative is a positive, 3xy plus 45y squared. So always leave, if there's a constant or even a monomial on the outside, leave that until you've simplified the rest of it. Okay, think about bedmass, we do our brackets first before we do our multiplication. Now h looks like it only has one term, and a lot of people make the mistake of saying, oh, well, it's just x squared plus y squared. That's my answer. We can't do that because remember that a square means something times itself. For example, 3 squared is 3 times 3. So in this case, we have to multiply x plus y by itself. So this is like saying x plus y times x plus y. And that is one of the most common mistakes people make, so please do not make that mistake. And then we can go ahead and FOIL. So we have x times x is x squared, plus x times y is xy, plus x times y is x, or sorry, to y times x is xy, plus y squared. And I'm going slightly quicker because I don't want to go through FOIL every single time, but if you need to, definitely do so. So then we have x squared, we have 2 of these in the middle, so 2xy plus y squared, and that would be our answer. So I'm going to let you try I on your own. J is kind of a combination of what we did in example G and example H. Okay, so you've got a term in front and you've got a square. So first let's distribute. Now notice there isn't another term that we're multiplying by here, so we can just go ahead and distribute into this bracket. So we have 5 times 2 is 10x, and 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Now the second piece, we have x plus 1 squared. So remember, when we're squaring something, we have to multiply it by itself. So go ahead and write that piece. Okay, so again, we're going to write everything until we have dealt with it. So let's write the first 3 pieces again. And now let's FOIL x plus 1 times x plus 1. Remember, we're always following bedmass, so we always do the brackets before we do anything else. So x times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x. You don't have to write the 1, plus 1x, plus 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Sometimes people get confused and write 2. Okay, so again, write your first 3 pieces because we haven't done anything with those yet. And let's simplify the middle. So we have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now we can distribute this 3. We can take negative 3 and multiply it into our bracket. Okay? So we have 10x, take away 15. Negative 3 times 1x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. Alright, that is not our final answer. Our final answer we need to simplify. So we look and say, okay, do I have any other x's? I have 10x, take away 6x. So altogether I have 4x. Then I have negative 15. and negative 3, so negative 18. And then I have negative 3x squared left on its own. And it's always best to rearrange it so the higher the exponent goes first, the higher the degree. Okay? Remember that even though there's no symbol written in front, we assume it's a positive. If it was negative, we would have a negative. Okay, and so this is our final answer. All right, I'm going to let you try L by yourself, and we'll do it together in class. But K is very similar to L. So when you get a binomial, so 2 terms, multiplied by either 3 terms or 4 terms, all you need to do is take one piece at a time. So let's just take a look at y, and let's multiply y first. Okay, so we're going to get 3 pieces for y. So y times y squared would be y cubed. Y times negative 4y would be negative 4y squared. Y times 7 would be plus 7y. So now we have multiplied y with every single component, every single term of the second bracket. Now let's take negative 3 and multiply every term in the bracket. So just take one piece at a time. So negative 3 times y squared is negative 3y squared. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12y. And negative 3 times positive 7 is negative 21. And now you just need to simplify. So there's only one term that has y cubed, so we can write it again. If we look, there's negative 4y squared and negative 3y squared. So we have negative 7y squared altogether. And then we've got 7y and 12y, so plus 19y. And last but not least, we have this leftover negative 21. And that would be our final answer. So try L, it's exactly the same. Take 2x, multiply each term, take negative 1, multiply each term, and then combine